Welcome back. It's the sixth day of fighting between Israel and Iran, and U.S. lawmakers from both parties, they are urging President Trump to not get involved in the conflict. They're instead pushing for a vote on measures to curb his ability to order strikes on Iran. Let's get to CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. Caitlin, what are you hearing from lawmakers out there?
Well, Mugo, there is a bipartisan effort on behalf of some lawmakers up here to do exactly what you just described, have Congress reestablish its authority here when it comes to war power. So you have proposals in the House and in the Senate, and there are Republicans and Democrats who are pushing for this. However, there's a little bit of a hitch here. Republican leadership is behind the president insofar as they trust him and his instincts, and they know the base of the Republican Party does the same, even though the base has been adamant that they do not want any escalation of U.S. force in any region outside the U.S., of course. So they have to kind of weigh that kind of concern. I can also tell you that it may not even matter, even if they go through the process, which is very slim, of getting this to the floor for a vote. It may not matter because the president can do what he wants here. Remember, in his first term, he made those strikes in Syria without the consent of Congress. And this is also something that long predates this current president and his past administration even. Congress has been, over the years, trying to reassert itself and its authority, but has really not been able to coalesce around a specific piece of legislation here reflective of that policy. So while there are discussions, it's unlikely that much would come from it.
Wow, that's a very, very important context to have there. Switching gears now, Caitlin, there is a group of Republican senators leading a probe today on the health of former President Joe Biden. It seems like this issue never ends. It's never going away. So what do we know about this right now?
Yeah, essentially, Mugo, they want to conduct essentially an audit of the Biden administration, especially in light of that most recent reporting in that book that we've talked about the alleged cover-up of the president's cognitive abilities. So today, the Senate is having a hearing, but I should note, we should pay attention to who they have invited to speak and who has accepted that invitation. They are talking to former officials in former Republican administrations at this hearing. The Democrats did not call any witnesses. So there are questions, especially on the House side. They want several Biden administration officials to come before Congress and be probed with those kinds of questions. But in today's hearing, you're really just hearing from past Republican administration officials. So a lot of what they're likely to hear today is a lot of what they likely want to hear. The question is whether they can compel those Biden officials to come forward.
Also more important context there, Caitlin. So on the heels of the tragic shooting in Minnesota that left a state lawmaker and her husband dead, Congress members are clashing over if to up their own security. Why is there disagreement about something like this?
Yeah, Mugo, I mean, it seems kind of like a no-brainer, right? In light of everything that happened, they'd want more security, and that is true, but there are two things kind of that they have to consider. One, of course, is the cost, and the other is kind of how cumbersome this could be. It is very expensive to provide that kind of security. This building that I'm standing in right now is very heavily fortified already, but there is a concern about when lawmakers are back in their districts or their states and in their homes, what kind of security there, and they have the option to have that. Not everybody does. The other is that this is a very cumbersome kind of thing. It would kind of prevent some lawmakers, in their view, from being able to have that direct, one-on-one, face-to-face, hand-to-hand kind of experience that they want to have with constituents. Sometimes a high security footprint can limit where you can go and what you can do. So they are taking all of that into consideration. They have asked for an increase in the budget, but it is already a pricey price tag at a moment that they are trying to cut government spending. So we will see what comes out of this. But there is no question whether or not they go forward, there is concern about security, especially when they're outside of these kinds of fortified buildings.
Oh, yeah, this certainly is. Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you so much for your reporting. Appreciate it.